In the heart of a bustling metropolis, the city of Aurora Bay, skyscrapers glittered under the setting sun. But beneath the neon glow, tension simmered between humans and the secretive dragon clans living among them. Isabella Hart, a brilliant young strategist from a prominent family, had grown up knowing her city's fragile balance. Dragons weren't just myths, they were powerful beings who could live among humans in secret, and her family had paid dearly in the past to keep that peace. When Isabella's father, a high-ranking diplomat, received an unexpected invitation from the city's most enigmatic and feared figure, Damian Kade, CEO of Kade Industries and secretly the Dragon Emperor, he made a choice that would change everything. The offer was shocking yet strategic. Isabella would be married to Damian, uniting human and dragon interests and promising peace, or at least temporary stability. Isabella's heart sank. She understood the stakes. Human families had long been at the mercy of dragons' whims, and any misstep could lead to devastation. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, a plan had already begun to form. She would go into Damian's high-tech, fortified penthouse not to pledge loyalty, but to infiltrate and find a way to dismantle his operations, saving countless lives in the process. She would play the part of the perfect candidate while secretly plotting an assassination that could end the dragon threat once and for all. Hey viewers, before you dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe to catch every twist in this epic modern fantasy love story. As Isabella boarded the sleek armored elevator that would take her to the upper levels of Damian's tower, her mind raced. Every story she had heard of Damian painted him as cold, ruthless, and untouchable. But rumors also whispered of a rare vulnerability, the need for a true mate, someone who could connect with him in ways no human or dragon had before. For Isabella, this was irrelevant. Her mission was clear: peace for her city at any cost, even if it meant the life of the man who, by all accounts, ruled the dragons with fire and iron. Upon arrival, she discovered she wasn't the only one summoned. Damian's luxurious penthouse was a palace of modern design, shimmering glass walls and holographic displays, hinting at a world where technology and magic intertwined. 10 young women, each representing different influential human families, were already present. They weren't just competitors, they were pawns in Damian's selection process. He wasn't seeking political advantage, he wanted a mate capable of sharing his bloodline, a bond necessary to preserve the dwindling dragon race. Isabella's mind went cold. She carried a secret of her own. Due to a past encounter with a rogue dragon, she was infertile, the very thing Damian sought most from her. A child to carry his legacy was impossible for her to give him. Her secret could destroy her cover if discovered, but she had no choice. She would navigate the dangerous cord of human-dragon politics, hiding her truth while pretending to be a willing participant in this twisted competition. Despite her resolve, a strange sensation tugged at her every time she saw Damian. There was something magnetic in his presence, a pull that seemed unnatural yet compelling. She chalked it up to stress, imagination, or perhaps even the seductive power dragons were rumored to possess. But deep down, Isabella felt that this connection, however inexplicable, might be the key to survival in a game she had no intention of playing honestly. As the city lights flickered below and the hum of modern life blended with ancient magic, Isabella Hart steeled herself. She would enter Damian's world not as a bride, but as an avenger. Yet, somewhere between fear, duty, and curiosity, the first seeds of something dangerous, love, were quietly taking root. Stick around and don't forget to like and subscribe. You won't want to miss the twists coming next. The next morning, Isabella woke to the sound of the city humming 70 floors below her. Aurora Bay looked peaceful from above, cars gliding along illuminated highways, ferries cutting through the harbor, sunlight bouncing off mirrored skyscrapers. But inside Kade Tower, tension pulsed like a second heartbeat. She wasn't a fiancée. She wasn't even a true candidate. She was one of 10 women selected to compete for Damian Kade's favor. The announcement came during a formal gathering in the penthouse's grand hall, a space that blended sleek modern architecture with subtle ancient carvings etched into obsidian pillars. Damian stood at the center, dressed in a tailored black suit, his presence commanding without effort. The other women watched him with admiration, ambition, even desire. Isabella studied him like a target. "I am not seeking a political alliance," Damian said evenly, his voice deep and controlled. "I am searching for my true mate, the one capable of standing beside me and bearing the heir that will secure my people's survival." A murmur rippled through the room. The heir. That was the real reason they were there. Not diplomacy, not unity, reproduction. The dragon race was dwindling. Though they had adapted to the modern world, building corporations, controlling markets, embedding themselves in politics, their numbers were shrinking. Without a viable heir born from a true mate bond, their kind would eventually fade. Isabella felt her stomach tighten. If he discovered the truth about her, she would be eliminated instantly, or worse, exposed. Years ago, during a dragon attack that had devastated a neighboring district, she had survived, but the injuries she sustained left her infertile. Doctors had confirmed it, quietly, privately, permanently. The very thing Damian required was the one thing she could never provide, which made her presence here both ironic and dangerous. The competition began immediately. Over the following days, each woman was evaluated, not through archaic trials, but through subtle, calculated interactions, private dinners, strategy discussions, psychological assessments masked as conversations. Dragon senses were said to detect compatibility beyond logic, energy alignment, emotional resonance, even biological harmony. Isabella forced herself to remain composed. She asked intelligent questions about Kade Industries' humanitarian programs. She debated urban redevelopment plans. She challenged Damian on ethical policies concerning dragon-human relations. To her frustration, he seemed intrigued. He began requesting her presence more often. One evening, she found herself alone with him on the balcony overlooking the bay. The wind tugged at her hair as neon reflections danced across the water below. "You don't fear me," Damian observed quietly. "I respect power, but fear is inefficient." A faint smile touched his lips. "Most humans fear what they don't understand, and most dragons underestimate what they think they control." The air between them shifted, not hostile, charged. For a moment, just a flicker, his eyes glowed amber, not fully transformed, but enough to remind her what he truly was: ancient, dangerous, capable of leveling the city beneath them with a single command. And yet, he didn't. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that she could feel warmth radiating from him, unnatural and steady. Her pulse quickened against her will. That strange pull returned, stronger now. Not enchantment, not intimidation, something deeper. A thread tightening invisibly between them. She stepped back first. This was exactly how dragons ensnared humans, through charisma, proximity, emotional manipulation. She would not fall for it. Later that night, as Isabella lay awake, she replayed the interaction in her mind. Why did he seem genuinely interested in her thoughts? Why did his tone soften when they were alone? It didn't matter. Her mission remained unchanged. Then everything shifted again. During a private medical screening, mandatory for all candidates, Isabella froze as dragon physicians conducted advanced compatibility scans. Their technology wasn't purely science. It merged biotech with ancient dragon magic. If her infertility was detected, questions would follow. She maintained a calm exterior while panic surged inside. The lead physician frowned at the screen briefly, then nodded. Preliminary results inconclusive. Further evaluation required. Inconclusive. Not exposed, but not safe either. When Isabella exited the medical wing, she found Damian waiting in the corridor. "Is something wrong?" he asked, his gaze searching her face with unsettling intensity. "No," she replied smoothly, "just routine procedures." He studied her for a long moment, as if sensing the lie vibrating beneath her skin. "Isabella," he said quietly, "if you are hiding something, you should know I value honesty above all else." Her breath caught. Honesty. If he knew the truth, that she could never give him an heir, would he still look at her the way he had on the balcony, or would she become disposable? The competition was no longer just about survival. It was about secrets, and the closer Damian drew to her, the more dangerous those secrets became. By the second week inside Kade Tower, Isabella had almost convinced herself she could balance it all: her mission, her secret, and the growing dangerous pull toward Damian. Almost. Then her brother arrived. Lucas Hart didn't request permission, he demanded entry. As co-founder of a rising tech security firm contracted by the city, Lucas had enough influence to secure a meeting inside Kade Industries. Officially, he was there to discuss cybersecurity integration between dragon-owned corporations and human defense grids. Unofficially, he was there for his sister. Isabella saw him in one of the lower executive lounges, surrounded by holographic displays and silent dragon guards. The moment their eyes met, relief and tension collided in her chest. "You look comfortable," Lucas said once they were alone. "It's temporary," she replied evenly. Lucas stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Bella, this isn't some diplomatic gala. You're living in the center of their power. Do you even understand what that means?" "I understand better than anyone," she said. He studied her face carefully, as if searching for cracks in her composure. "Have you forgotten what they did?" She hadn't. Aurora Bay's skyline had once burned orange, not from sunset, but from dragonfire. Rogue factions had attacked during a territorial dispute years ago. Human casualties were dismissed as collateral damage. Among the dead had been their childhood friend, Eva Moreno. Eva had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. That was the official statement. Lucas never accepted that. Eva didn't deserve to die because dragons were fighting over dominance, he said, quietly, voice thick with restrained anger. "And now you're living under the same roof as their king?" "He's not like them," Isabella replied before she could stop herself. Lucas's expression hardened instantly. "You sound like someone who's starting to believe him." She crossed her arms. "This was always the plan. Get close, gain trust, end it." Lucas leaned in. "Good, because you need to know something." Her stomach tightened. "We've been digging into medical data leaks from Dragon archives. You know why he's really desperate for an heir?" She stayed silent. "Human survival rates during dragon pregnancies are catastrophically low. Their physiology isn't compatible. Most women don't make it past the second trimester." The words hit like ice water. She had suspected risks, but not that. If he finds someone compatible, more human women will volunteer or be pressured. You stop him, you stop that cycle. Anger flickered back to life inside her, the old anger, the righteous one. The mission wasn't just revenge, it was prevention. Lucas softened slightly. "Bella, this is bigger than you, bigger than whatever game he's playing." "He hasn't hurt anyone since consolidating power," argued Isabella. That you know of. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Lucas reached into his jacket and slid a small metallic capsule across the table. "What is this?" she whispered. "A synthesized toxin. It targets dragon cellular regeneration, undetectable in wine or dark liquor, fast-acting." Her pulse pounded. "Lucas, he trusts you. That's your window." She stared at the capsule. It felt heavier than metal, heavier than destiny. "If you hesitate," Lucas added quietly, "remember Eva. Remember the bodies in Harbor District. Remember that peace with dragons has always meant sacrifice from us." Later that evening, Isabella stood in her room, the capsule resting on her vanity. Outside her window, drones buzzed between towers. The city thrived under a fragile truce. Damian's policies had stabilized markets, reduced rogue dragon violence, even funded human infrastructure. But was that reform or strategy? A knock at her door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Damian. He stepped inside without his usual guarded posture. No suit jacket, no entourage, just him. "I sensed unrest in the tower. Your brother. You monitor emotions now?" "Yes, when they spike near you, yes." That unsettling honesty again. He moved closer, studying her face. "He doesn't trust me." Should he? Damian didn't answer immediately. "My kind has committed atrocities. I won't deny history, but I am not my predecessors." "And yet you're still asking a human woman to risk her life for your heir." His jaw tightened. "A true mate bond protects both lives." "Does it?" she challenged. He stepped closer, voice lower. "If I found my true mate, I would burn the world before letting her die." Her breath caught. Was that promise or threat? The capsule in her pocket felt like it was branding her skin. Lucas's words echoed. "You stop him, you stop the cycle." But standing inches from Damian, feeling the heat radiating from him, seeing vulnerability flicker beneath centuries of control, doubt crept in. If he truly believed in a mate bond, if he truly cared, could she still kill him? The war inside her was no longer just humans versus dragons. It was heart versus duty. And soon, she would have to choose. The decision came faster than Isabella expected. 2 nights after Lucas left the tower, Damian invited her to a private dinner in the upper observatory, a glass dome suspended above Aurora Bay, where the city lights shimmered like fallen stars. No guards, no other candidates, just them. It was either perfect timing or a trap. A single bottle of deep crimson wine rested between them, already breathing. Isabella felt the small capsule hidden inside the lining of her clutch. The toxin. Final. Irreversible. Damian poured the wine himself. "You've been distant," he observed calmly. "I've been thinking." "About killing me?" he asked. Her heart skipped. He wasn't smiling. She forced composure. "That's a dramatic assumption. I can smell adrenaline shifts, elevated cortisol, conflict." His gaze didn't waver. "You're carrying something heavier than doubt." The air felt thinner. She could deny it, deflect, walk away. Instead, she leaned forward. "Why me?" she asked. "You have 9 other women here who would gladly give you what you want." "Because they want my power," Damian replied. "You don't." "And that makes me desirable?" "It makes you honest." The word struck deeper than he knew. With steady hands, Isabella reached for the bottle under the guise of refilling his glass. In one smooth motion, shielded by the table's edge, she emptied the capsule into his wine. The liquid swallowed it without trace. This was for Ava, for Harbor District, for every human life weighed against dragon survival. She slid the glass toward him. "If I told you I doubted you, she said carefully. "Would you try to convince me otherwise?" Damian studied the wine, then her. "No," he said. He lifted the glass. "If you truly believe I am your enemy," he continued quietly, "then I have already failed." And before she could stop him, he drank it. Every drop. Panic exploded through her. "You shouldn't have," she started, but the words died as a violent tremor ripped through him. The glass shattered against the marble floor. Damian staggered back, gripping the table as veins of molten gold flared beneath his skin. His eyes ignited fully now, dragon fire breaking through restraint. "You," he exhaled, not in anger, but understanding. "You knew?" she whispered. "I suspected." He collapsed to one knee. The temperature in the observatory spiked instantly, glass walls cracking from internal heat. "Why would you drink it?" she demanded, despite herself. Damian's breathing grew ragged. "Because if you are not my true mate, this will kill me." Her blood turned cold. "And if I am?" His gaze locked onto hers, even as pain distorted his features. "Then you can save me." She remembered the ancient dragon texts Lucas had uncovered, legends stating that only a true mate could heal a poisoned dragon by sharing life force through their bonded energy. She had dismissed it as myth. "You're insane," she said, voice shaking. "Perhaps," he coughed, "but I would rather die knowing the truth than live doubting you." His body convulsed again. Heat surged violently, flames licking across the floor. He was dying, and he had chosen it, not to test her loyalty, to prove his own. Something inside her cracked open. All her hatred, all her certainty, it fractured under the weight of his trust. If he had wanted control, he would have exposed her, imprisoned her, killed her first. Instead, he drank. "For Aurora Bay," she whispered, though she no longer knew which side she stood on. She dropped to her knees and pressed her hands against his chest. The connection struck instantly. Not heat, not fire. Light. A surge of energy tore through her veins, searing but not burning. Images flooded her mind. Ancient skies, dragon flights over oceans, loneliness spanning centuries, and beneath it all, her. He had felt her from the moment she entered the tower. The pull she tried to ignore wasn't enchantment. It was bond. She gasped as the poison's darkness moved between them, siphoned into her bloodstream. But instead of destroying her, it dissolved, neutralized. Dragon and human energy merging. Damian's breathing steadied. The golden fractures beneath his skin faded. When he opened his eyes again, they were no longer blazing. They were soft. "You came here to kill me," he said quietly. Tears blurred her vision. "I know. And yet you saved me." Her voice broke. "I didn't understand." He reached up, brushing her cheek with trembling fingers. "Now you do." In that shattered observatory, with cracked glass and cooling marble beneath them, Isabella realized something terrifying. She had just risked everything to save the Dragon Emperor, not because of duty, but because she loved him. The shattered glass in the observatory was replaced by sunrise. By morning, Aurora Bay glittered as if nothing had happened. News drones buzzed, markets opened, humans and dragons moved through the city in careful coexistence. No one knew their emperor had nearly died hours earlier. But inside Kade Tower, everything had changed. Isabella sat across from Damian in the private war room. No marble, no candlelight, no illusions. Just steel walls and city surveillance feeds glowing around them. The bond between them felt different now. Steady, unavoidable, alive. "You healed me," Damian said quietly, not as an accusation, as fact. "You were right about the bond." He watched her carefully. You tried to kill me. Yes. And if I had not drunk the poison willingly? She met his gaze. I don't know. That was the truth. If he had resisted, if he had reacted with rage instead of trust, she might have justified finishing the mission. Silence lingered, heavy but not hostile. Your brother, Damian said finally. He believes I will sacrifice human women for an heir. You can't deny the survival statistics, Isabella replied. A flicker of pain crossed his face. The ancient methods were flawed, dangerous. I outlawed them years ago. She stiffened. Outlawed? I will not allow forced pairings or coerced pregnancies. A true mate bond is mutual, or it is nothing. The conviction in his voice was not political. It was personal. And if no true mate exists, she pressed, then my line ends with me. Her breath caught. Would you let your race fade? I would rather watch my empire fall than build it on unwilling blood. The words dismantled the last wall she had been clinging to. Before she could respond, the door slid open. Lucas. He strode in, fury barely contained. I know what happened. Isabella stood. Lucas, he's alive, which means you failed. I didn't fail, she said firmly. His eyes widened in disbelief. You chose him. I chose truth. Lucas turned to Damian. You manipulated her. No, Damian replied evenly. I trusted her. By risking your life, that's convenient. Isabella stepped between them. He drank the poison knowing it could kill him. Lucas faltered for half a second, but anger returned. That proves nothing. Dragons play long games. Then listen carefully, Damian said, voice low but controlled. If Isabella decides to leave this tower right now, she walks out unharmed. No retaliation, no leverage. Lucas looked at his sister. Come home. Home. The word carried memories, late-night coding sessions, childhood rooftops, Ava's laughter, a world without dragon heat under her skin, without this impossible bond. I can't, she said softly. Lucas stared at her as if she were already lost. He's not what we thought, and killing him won't protect anyone. It will ignite a war. And loving him will? Lucas challenged. Isabella didn't hesitate this time. Yes. The room fell silent. Lucas's shoulders slowly lowered. Not acceptance, but understanding that her decision was final. If he hurts you, Lucas said to Damian, I will burn this tower down myself. Damian gave a single nod. Fair. Lucas left without another word. When the doors closed, Isabella exhaled shakily. You chose me over your family, Damian said quietly. I chose a future that doesn't repeat the past. He stepped closer, resting his forehead gently against hers. The bond hummed, warm and certain. For the first time in centuries, he murmured, I don't feel alone. Neither did she. War had almost begun that night in the observatory. Instead, something far more dangerous had taken its place. Hope. 3 months later, Aurora Bay stood brighter than it had in years. Kade Industries had announced a sweeping initiative, joint dragon-human research programs, transparent reproductive ethics laws, and independent oversight councils led equally by both species. The city buzzed with cautious optimism. For the first time, peace didn't feel like a fragile ceasefire. It felt intentional. Inside the highest level of Kade Tower, Isabella stood before the massive glass wall overlooking the harbor. The late afternoon sun spilled gold across the water, reflecting against the subtle warmth that now constantly lived beneath her skin. The bond had only grown stronger. Not consuming, not controlling, balanced. Behind her, Damian adjusted the cuff of his tailored jacket as he ended a secure call with the Dragon Council. His leadership had shifted in subtle but undeniable ways. Less dominance, more diplomacy. Some ancient dragons resisted it, but none challenged him openly anymore, not after the observatory incident. "You're quiet," he said, walking toward her. "I was thinking," she replied, resting a hand lightly over her abdomen without realizing it. "Dangerous habit." She smiled faintly. "About how I came here planning to destroy you. And instead," he asked. She turned to face him fully. "Instead, I found something I didn't think was possible." Damian studied her expression carefully. His senses were sharp, too sharp to miss the shift in her heartbeat. "You're hiding something," he murmured. Her pulse quickened despite her calm exterior. 3 months ago, she had believed her body incapable of ever carrying life. Years of medical confirmation, final, absolute. But dragon bonds were ancient magic woven into biology. They didn't follow human limitations. "I went to the clinic this morning," she said softly. Damian's expression sharpened instantly. "Are you ill?" "No." She stepped closer, taking his hand and guiding it gently to rest over her stomach. For a moment, he didn't react. Then his entire body stilled. Dragon senses reached deeper than human ones. He didn't need medical equipment. He didn't need confirmation screens. He felt it. A faint, steady pulse that did not belong to either of them alone. His eyes shifted, not blazing gold, not fire, but luminous with stunned realization. "That's not possible," he whispered. "I know." His gaze snapped to hers. "You were told." "I was," she said, voice trembling now. "But the bond, it changed things." For centuries, dragons had searched for true mates, believing it was about compatibility. They had never understood it was about balance. Tears filled Damian's eyes, though they did not fall. "You're certain?" he asked, voice unsteady for the first time since she had known him. She nodded. "Very." He dropped to his knees before her, not in weakness, but reverence, pressing his forehead gently against her abdomen. A dragon emperor, humbled. The weight he had carried for centuries, the extinction of his kind, the burden of legacy, the fear of dying alone, fractured in that moment. "I would have been enough with just you," he said quietly. "I know, but now you get both." He rose slowly, pulling her into his arms as if she were made of something infinitely precious. Outside, the city thrived, unaware that history had just shifted. A child born of true bond, human and dragon not at war, but united. Lucas visited later that evening. Suspicion still lingered in him, but when Isabella told him the news, even he couldn't mask the stunned silence that followed. "Is it safe?" he asked immediately. "Yes," Damian answered before she could, "because she is my true mate." Lucas studied them both, then finally nodded once. Then maybe this is what ends it. Not domination, not revenge, legacy built on choice. As night fell over Aurora Bay, Isabella stood once more at the glass wall, but this time Damian stood behind her, arms wrapped securely around her. "I came here to kill you," she whispered. "And instead," he replied, brushing a kiss against her temple, "you gave me everything." She smiled softly. Not just love, not just peace, a future neither of them had believed possible. And high above the glittering city, the dragon emperor and the woman who once planned his death stood together, no longer enemies, no longer pawns of history, but family. If you loved this modern dragon romance and want more epic twists, forbidden bonds, and powerful love stories, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter.